I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way. Welcome. We are back in the hot seat. We are excited to be talking about what's happening out in the marketplace. In fact, the mistakes we're seeing buyers make out in the marketplace at the moment, which we're going to cover off 5 because we don't want to be here for forever. But we also want to educate people on just like, look out for this.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing this or this is happening, just, watch out because we are in a bit of a transitional market at the moment. We were just talking about it, Sam, that, agents are calling you
All day long.
Yep,
Your phone log is just calls from agents, and that is just always the biggest telltale sign that there's a shift and that they are hunting obviously for deals, opportunities, and it's more what it's mostly about is they've got time to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you're busy and when the market's really, really, really hot, you are often reacting.
Yeah.
You're not often being proactive in the market. So for me, that's always a big telltale sign is when you start getting lots of calls from agents. And also every phone call you have with them, we're all asking each other, so what are you finding? What do you reckon? Because there's been more conversation now in our industry than there has been since obviously all that insane increase in capital growth that occurred through COVID. That was a huge topic of conversation, massive, ongoing, big, national conversation.
Yeah.
And now we're in the same situation where it's a statewide conversation and it's happening everywhere you turn, everywhere you go, every dinner that you sit at.
Oh, yeah.
This is what's being talked about. And it's, with that comes a lot of fear and a lot of, misunderstanding and a lot of inaction and a lot of mistakes.
Exactly.
So,
well, that brings us maybe to our first point. So many people that I speak to are just sitting on the sidelines. I don't know what exactly they're waiting for. I think they're waiting for confirmation. This is the lowest point in the market. This is the right time to buy, or, waiting for their friends to have bought. So then that means like, okay, it's a safe time. Because confidence is so interesting in our industry. Like it
runs the show.
Oh, it runs
Buyer confidence.
It runs the show. And so I just think inaction is one of the worst things that people could do right now. I think it's one of the best times that I've seen to purchase real estate. Like I just bought something for a client in Surrey Hills and I said, it was around 2 mil. I said, this would have been 2.2, 2.3 12 months ago. Like, thank your lucky stars. And it is such a great time to upsize. So
I was going to say that is exactly true and relevant for sections of the market.
Yeah.
And the area where that's most prevalent is in that higher value property section of the market where the impact is greater on the pricing.
Yeah.
First home buyers, they're running hotter now than I've seen them for quite a while, and that's in the sub-$1 million bracket.
Yeah.
But the 2 mil plus, the 3, 4, 5, 6 mil plus brackets, they're impacted 100%.
Yeah.
So if you want to upsize your family home, go out and do it now.
Absolutely. But even first home buyers, like get into the market. Obviously make sure you can handle
Service the loan.
service a loan and have it covered if interest rates go up a little bit more before the end of the year or next year.
Don't over push yourself on the purchase
but
price.
rents are going to get more expensive. That is categorical what's going to happen. So if you're renting, like your rent's going to go up, like your mortgage will go up. So if you do have the deposit, which there's so many options there, 5, 10, 20%, chat to someone, get your ducks in a row and just jump in. Make sure you're obviously buying good real estate at the right price. And we've obviously, spoken at length about what good real estate looks like for people.
Yeah.
But don't be nervous. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
I think I really want to get that across. But I think what they're getting nervous about is maybe, is the market going to fall any more? Or actually, how much is this property worth? right
Yeah.
now? Like how
Yeah.
much would I pay? Because pricing is a little bit trickier right now.
Definitely.
Like, there's been some auctions that you and I have been attending recently and they've got 4 bidders. So a 4-bidder auction.
That tells you that that's the market value.
Yeah.
You've got 3 others supporting your thoughts on the value of the home.
Yeah.
And that is really the easiest way in which to value property is this is the true market value by public auction.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with a situation where you've arrived at an auction and you're preparing to bid and you are realizing that you're the only one there who's planning to do that, that immediately puts you into a situation where your alarm bells start going off and you think, that doesn't, what we want people to understand is, then this is where the mistake occurs, that doesn't mean that house isn't worth buying.
Yes.
That's not what that means. That is very common, very normal, very common, unless there is a major fundamental flaw in the property, like, for example, an incredibly crazy main road or, even bus routes, south-facing properties, are you in a flight path? Is it completely dilapidated? All of these factors, those homes and those properties are all still sellable. They're all still worth buying at certain points in time for certain people. We don't buy fundamentally flawed property for these reasons. But if you are in a situation where the property is looking like it's going to pass in with no bid, it's always worth putting your hand up, going in and having the conversation with the agent on where the vendor's at with their reserve. Potentially the advice in that scenario now is the advice to buy real estate in Melbourne changes with the market.
Yes.
We are not hard and fast on our advice in any given market condition. And at the moment in that scenario, you definitely want to be a little bit more cautious. You be careful, make sure you're not just meeting the vendor where they're at. If you're the only buyer there, you've potentially got some time.
Well, 6 months ago I would have said, pre-auction offers here, there and everywhere. And now that is not my categorical advice. It is go to auction.
Yeah.
So in some cases, I'm going to auction on one this weekend that's terribly conservatively quoted. So I'm sure that's going to have a bit of interest, but it will be very interesting to see where that gets put on the market.
Even with our vendor advocacy though, it's always the opposite. So say, for example, over the last 5 years, any vendor, I'm like, we're auctioning this home.
Yeah.
There is no other way in which I would advise anyone to sell their property in these market conditions other than auction. So then when we're buying, we're doing pre-auction offers, we're buying off market, we're buying, in these different situations because we want to avoid the competition of the auction that was occurring. And now it's the opposite is true. I mean, we've sold our last couple of vendor advocacy properties off market to one buyer who's been in the market for 12 months or more. So is their pricing skewed from 2024, 2025? Maybe. Yeah. So we're setting the price. We're in control of that process and negotiation. And if they can come to the right price that makes sense for our vendors to sell, we're selling, because if we're going to market in a 6-week campaign, all of the costs are still there that were always there historically, but potentially the outcome's not there. The competition's not there. You're not going to get that kick in the value or the result. So it's ever changing. You've got to adjust. You do have to adjust. But for a buyer who's currently looking in the market, if you are sitting ready to buy, your plan is to buy, you're housing yourself, your family, your future, all these things, don't just sit and wait with everyone else, because what happens is everyone else starts getting indications that the market's going to kick again or going to change or it's coming back, and now you're running with the crowd. Just buy something conservatively at the right price. Be very cautious on your pricing.
But I do think that's where people are unsure, because they're unsure of their decision making.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where, it's not to say everyone has to call us, but really, if you are unsure of how you should be going about it, you should really be engaging a professional. What is the harm in a conversation? There's no harm in having a conversation. If you're in the market and you're looking for something to buy and you're not sure of how to navigate it, if you're feeling like you have a lack of confidence in the process, and right now in this market, yes, it makes sense to proceed to a purchase, but only if you're taking advantage of the market conditions. So don't go in and overpay accidentally.
Yes. Pricing.
Price. And if you don't know how to price it, we do pricing analysis and negotiate-only services. So just call, because now there are great opportunities that can be picked up, but only if you're careful.
Yeah.
So not every opportunity is a good opportunity. And I will say the agents are now using off-market opportunities to their advantage in a very different way than we were. Previously, it was our advantage to get access and be the only one. And now it's almost a little bit disadvantageous. Whoa.
Whoa.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Because you don't have any example of how the market perceived it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, and this isn't on our list, but, mistake is buying the off-market one when you don't know how to price or you don't know what A-grade real estate looks like because a lot of properties selling off-market now and they're not necessarily a win because vendors are bullish on price. They've got 2025 prices in their head and that's why they're not taking it to market.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, it's an immediate change to the market, but I mean, if we're to move on to the next point, I mean, about the fact of waiting for this big, overflow and surplus of property options to flood to the market. We've never seen it. Have you ever?
No.
17 years, never seen it. We've had markets where the markets have gone down. We've had markets where they've been stronger. Never have we seen this influx, surplus of property options that aren't able to be absorbed.
Oh, the number of people that told me not to buy real estate until after the budget's announced because then this, that and the other and investors are going to let go of their properties all over the place. What, on one particular day do we wake up and then
now all those properties are for sale? That's where it's like people don't understand the process of a sale, right? So say there's a tenant in place until November of this year. That rent provider calls the local agent or their managing agent and says, I want to sell the property. The managing agent goes and looks at the property. Property's not sellable with tenant in place. Yep, we can sell. Let's give them a notice to vacate for the end of their lease with intention to sell. Right, that property's now coming to market when? In bloody February next year. That's one. And now let's go down the line. It's just like it's not a thing.
Yeah. Oh.
And even if there is this big influx or an increase in properties for sale, what types of properties are they? Where are they sitting? Are they family homes? No. Are they freestanding, homes or single-fronted properties or whatever that looks like? Potentially, maybe. Are they high-density apartments? Possibly, yep. And so what don't we buy, Tabitha? High-density apartments. It's like,
oh my God, that literally. It's God, yes. I'm gonna deviate here, like we love to do. But we were just we're buying for an interstate investor at the moment, but ultimately their plan is for their kids to stay in this apartment for uni and things in Melbourne. But like there was a apartment she loved and there was so many red flags in the contract and I was like, when just not proceed, just give me 5 minutes. I need to work through this. I need to work through the defects in the block. Why is this a roof replacement done at 15 years? Like we don't need to be crazy and jump at these things. Like take our time, buy good real estate, take a deep breath. It's not right. Let's walk away.
Yeah.
Like
simple.
Oh my gosh. And then she was like, oh yeah, okay, good. I was like, we can find this again. Just take
Relax.
but it had 80 in the block, but it was if the OC minutes came in a bit better, that would have been all right. It's hard to find 2-bed, 2-bath if you're not in a bloody Well,
no, this is the thing. People come to us with their briefs and they're like, this is what I want. Fantastic. Now let's look at what exists.
Yes.
So this is what exists. And if we are buying low density, something with a little bit of period, not necessarily flair to it because a lot of the 70s buildings have got zero flair, but they've got space and size and they've got windows on 3 walls and they've got all these amazing factors. They're walk up, they're low body corporate fees, they're all these different things. They ain't ever got 2 bathrooms.
No.
Ever.
No.
Yet there's often possibility to make 2 bathrooms because all the services are together. Laundry, separate toilet, central bathroom, that can easily be converted into, European laundry and 2 bathrooms. But it's very uncommon for there to be 2 bathrooms in the types of buildings we like to buy in for capital growth, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we've covered 4. I don't know whether you've got those high level ones, but I think, pricing is number one mistake that buyers can make at the moment,
Yeah.
and getting it wrong and just not understanding what fair market value is, and that particularly relates to off markets.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is just sitting on the sidelines and not making a decision, being too fearful. What's going to happen? Is the market going to drop? What more policies are going to come out? Think about your own circumstances and work to them.
Yep.
3 is not checking with your broker.
We didn't cover that.
We didn't.
That's a good point though.
That is a good point. See, I told you we went off our little list, but because of some of the recent announcements, people's borrowing capacity is changing. So,
Because of the change in the rates.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, banks are becoming a little bit more stringent on being able to use negative gearing
Yes.
in the servicing. So you must check in with your broker and your bank like every couple of months to see if your pre-approval is still valid
Yeah.
and at the same level.
Yeah. Don't be bidding on something unconditionally at your old pre-approval. On
yeah.
your old pre-approval.
If you
yeah.
change jobs,
Yeah.
also. But I worked with a client recently and she had to buy a date, and if she hadn't, her pre-approval was dropping about 10 or 15%.
Did you end up getting that through?
Yeah,
You
we did. Yeah, which was
We love a deadline.
Yeah, we love a deadline. So that is a massive mistake buyers can make, because you're buying at auction. It's unconditional.
Done,
You got to find the
done.
money.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was number 4.
Yeah.
Or number 3.
Number
I'm
4.
confused.
Yeah.
But waiting for the avalanche of the properties. That was number
5.
5.
Number
No.
9, 10, 12.
No, we've got one more that I wanted to cover, because we have quite a few agent friends, and they laugh a little bit just at the
volume of new buyers advocates in our industry.
So every, day they're getting a new email from Bob Jane, who's, the latest advocate out of Queensland buying in Victoria. And so that is one mistake I would say that buyers are making at the moment. They're following people on social media that perhaps are really good marketers, really good educators, but maybe not really good negotiators or property selectors. So I would really encourage people, I think it's fantastic people want to get advice and outsource and get help, but make sure it's the right people helping you.
Yeah.
That haven't been just in the game for 2 seconds or bought a few properties themselves, or, used to be in the OC world and now they're buying real estate for people. Please do your research and due diligence, because we are a massive growing industry, which is fantastic, but a lot of people are coming without the experience that we completely believe.
Rely on, I rely on my experience. If I didn't have it, I don't know how I would navigate it, honestly.
But day one of your job, I said, do you know how to solve the same problems you do 15 years down the track? Absolutely not, because you've got 15 years of working out how to
problem solving.
in your field. So that's what we do day in and day out. And, experience does count. Time in the game
100%.
does count. So please do your research. So that was about 12 biggest mistakes?
12
that buyers.
biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
Only relevant for winter 2026.
Yeah. And when we upload this, and then please delete it after 5 minutes when policy changes.
Policy will
and bloody
change. Yeah.
the market changes.
Watch
anyway,
this space.
watch this space. Hope you enjoyed.